Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're joining us from, and you're welcome to Speakers HQ Monthly Hangout. It's been a wonderful time since the last time that we had the Hangout. The previous session, we had an amazing brand expert called Sam Nike. And this wonderful month of April, we are also bringing to you a seasoned professional in the space of business branding, leadership, and business consulting. His name is Alex Alao, and it would absolutely be a great time of learning. It'll be a great time of sharing. I do trust that you have your notepads with you. Make sure that you have your notepads handy. And if you're just joining in for the very first time, you're welcome to Speakers HQ. Just in case you're wondering what Speakers HQ is all about, it's a community of speakers, forward-thinking professionals, entrepreneurs who want to increase and improve their speaking potentials by being in a community that helps them achieve more visibility and helps them develop their competence in speaking. So you are welcome once again, and you are going to have a great and amazing time over the next 1 hour or so. I bet that our speaker today, who also happens to be a member of the board and also a founding member of the Speakers HQ community, there will be so much to learn. So without wasting any more of your time, I'm going to introduce our speaker and then I'll bring him right on. So his name is Alex Alao, and he is a seasoned management consultant, tech-driven business strategist, life and leadership coach with over 15 years of experience. He is a business solutions expert and CEO of Jet Heights Services Limited and Jet Writers. And this is a full service web solution content, branding and digital marketing communication agency. Jet Height owns several major PR and social media platforms, including howafrica.com, Nigerian News, newsofafrica.org, womanafrica.com, among others. Founder of the Jet Heights Academy Africa, a platform for online courses and trading with about 60,000, that is huge, 60,000 strong Facebook community, and an online training and capacity development platform that hosts e-courses, trains, supports, and is mentoring Africa's next generation of leaders. If this is not amazing to you, then I don't know what is. So Ayo is a highly sought after business strategist and catalyst who is notable for his uncommon and exceptional strategies and brand growth hacking skills and training styles which he has employed, having served several top organizations and SMEs in over 30 countries and counting, while improving brand equity, performance, productivity, and profitability, both locally and internationally. He has a first degree in English language and literacy studies, a master's degree in computing, software technology from UK. He is a certified business growth expert, web developer, sales professional, member of the British Computing Society, Computer Professional of Nigeria, among other certifications and membership. It is my great honor and privilege to bring Alex Alao on board. Oh my goodness. Welcome. That was an extensive read.
Thank
And
you.
you are not just a summary. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you. Same here.
Awesome, awesome. So I know we're in for a very amazing session today. And we're talking about a topic that I know that you are absolutely excited about. It's a topic that you always speak about, and which we will definitely need a whole lot more clarity around. So which is building a marketable brand. Now, when we talk about
Mm,
speaking and talk about opportunities for speakers, we know that a lot of the speakers, viability, sustainability, and
mm,
how much they're able to generate revenue relies heavily on how much of a brand that they are perceived as. So let's talk about,
mm,
how speakers, how professionals, how thought leaders can build a marketable brand. So before we get into that, what is a marketable brand?
mm. Okay, so I think you want me to jump into the training already. Yeah, so your ability to establish yourself now in this age, probably on the web, be it physically, and being able to sell whatever product or service that you have, whether locally or globally, is the concept of marketability, and it goes into every industry, goes into every niche, whether you're into music or architecture, or, you're a thought leader, you're a teacher, whatever it is. That thing that separates you from the pack, that thing that separates you, that ensures that people are able to buy from you, they're able to listen to you, they're able to honor you when due, even in the place of work, they're able to promote you. That is your marketability. And if you don't have that, in spiritual balance, they would say it's grace. In the professional world, it's marketability. If you're not marketable, you can't sell products, you can't sell services, you won't be promoted. If you're not well branded, you can be promoted, even at work. So it goes into that. So I'll just quickly delve into what I've prepared for today. So building a marketable brand. So I've just explained marketability, you having a marketable brand. And one of the things I wrote down, I said how to establish your brand on the web, market and sell locally for leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs. So I've been introduced, so I'm not really going to go very much into that. One of the first things I'll talk about today is what I call attracting the market. And you might have heard this before, what I'm going to say next, attracting the market. Um, it's called the KLT factor. The three steps to marketability, the KLT factor. And if you follow, thank you very much. I can see the slide on the screen already. So it's the KLT factor. Those are the three steps to marketability. The first one is know. So people buy from people they know. This next one is like. People buy from people they like. So whether you're a speaker, what ensures that people listen to you, that they buy your products, that they come for your training, and all of that. So they know you, they like you, and then they trust you. So when people come to me and say, "Oh, I've been around for years. People like me. I have a lot of likes and a lot of people comment on my posts on social media. A lot of them even call me, but they never buy from me." That means you've not transcended, that you've not broken down the walls of trust. You've not projected yourself and your brand to the point where people are able to not just know, like you, they're also able to trust you. And that's when people, the things you say, the things you do, there's a way you position yourself, in the marketplace that ensures that people are able to part with their money without even meeting you. I've done business virtually in all continents, and I've been able to do that. One of the reasons I've been able to do it is because it's very easy. By the time you engage me and we talk, and I share with you certain links and things I've done, it's almost, it's very possible that you will trust me enough to be able to part with your money without meeting me. And so very many other times, I can just quickly jump into that. There are things created by technology. For example, PayPal. PayPal, for example, as a tool, and we use that quite a lot even at GetIt. It almost ensures that if you don't render the service you promised, they're able to get their money back. And those are some of the things that we've used to break down those walls when people find it very difficult to trust. So, like I said, the KLT factor is a major force, is a game changer for you if you want to understand marketability. If you want your brand to be marketable, if you want to position yourself well in the industry, in any industry whatsoever, whether you're an entrepreneur, or you're a thought leader, or or you're whatever, like I said, you're a teacher, you're a plumber, whatever it is that you do, know that you need to understand that people need to know you, and that's visibility. And in the course of this, I'll be talking a little bit about that. You need to project yourself out there. People need to know you. Right now, quite a lot of people can do quite a number of good things. As a matter of fact, they might even be the best singer in the industry, or the best guitar player, or the best footballer, or the best whatever it is. But if people do not know that you exist, then you don't exist. I'll say that again. If people do not know that you exist, then you do not exist. So if, for example, the search engines don't know that your content exists, it doesn't exist. If Google does not know that you exist, you don't exist. So the things you need to start doing. Have you listed yourself? Very, very recently we moved office, and one of the things I did almost immediately was to go and update, our location on Google. And as soon as I did that, people started calling. I had updated the address. So people found it easier to look it up. So they could easily punch it in, and the Google map will lead them right straight to our office, no matter where we are. It wouldn't matter wherever we are if they wanted to come to see us physically. And those are some of the important things you need to do now. People need to like you. Project yourself right now. You need to start projecting yourself a whole lot more. And like I said, I'm going to talk about some of these things. Very importantly, again, trust. It's important that people trust you. How much of good content do you have out there, that people can read? Can people find you online? Can they read about you online? Can they find, if they Google your name, what would they find? What would you find if you Googled yourself right now? What would you find? What would you find if you Googled yourself? Those are some of the things that are important in this day and age. I call this the PPS marketing secret, or you can say the PPS sales and marketing secret. If you want to build a marketable brand, these are 3 things you need to pay critical attention to. It's the PPS marketing secret. And in the course of quite a number of the things I've done in the last couple of months, I found out that quite a lot of brands that I was consulting for, they did not understand it. They knew it, and I'll say this very quickly. There are quite a lot of things that we know but we do not do. It's impossible for us to do it all. And sometimes, of course, we might have learned certain things, and we would forget to implement them, or would implement certain other things and then not implement some of these things, some of the even vital ones, most vital ones sometimes. And it's important that we take, we pay close attention to the things that really matter if you're going to be able to build a marketable brand. And no matter what stage you are, even if you're a superstar, you need to continue. Building a brand, it's hard. And trust me, but it's very easy to bring it down. In a second, remember, if you're Nigerian and you're in the public space, you don't understand the scandal that's going on currently. It's very easy to build up a brand for years and break it down in the twinkle of an eye. So it's very important that you're still paying close attention to your brand. And I might touch on that as I go on. So the PPS marketing security is the product first, the person, and then the strategies. These are key elements that you need to pay attention to. They're very pivotal to building a viable, consistent, marketable brand. It's important. The product. We're talking about the viability. What product? It might be a product. To some people, it's a physical product. Other people, it's a service. It's an online product. It's an ebook. It's a digital course or whatever it is that you want to call it. It's a product. A product is a product. So the viability of that product is important. If it's not viable, there's a problem. That means you need to do something about it. The uniqueness and the originality. How unique is it? Those are things you need to measure before you know what to do to the product itself. I'm talking about the product, to your brand as a whole, and the part the product plays to your brand. It's absolutely important that you understand that if you for example, if you have a unique product, that means there's limited competition. If you're going to run ads, people would, or the only thing you probably have to do is educate people about what the product is, because it's unique. Its marketability increases, especially if it's also usable. So the fact that it's original, it's unique, and then it's usable, automatically increases its marketability. And that's what I'm talking about. The quality of the brand, of the product rather, the quality of the product is important. The brand and its acceptability. There are certain products or brands that are not acceptable. People bring it out and say, oh, what is this? No, we don't need this. This is not what we need right now. This is nonsense, So some products sell themselves. It's important that you understand that. And I'm going to be talking about that again. Some products sell themselves. If someone gave me a Tesla right now, and you find out that it's original, you find out that it's quality, almost automatically, if you can afford it, affordability, if you can afford it, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to buy, as long as it's usable in your environment. So if I was in the US and you give me a Tesla, it's almost guaranteed, if you can afford it, that you will buy. Why? Because a Tesla will sell itself. Same as an iPhone, same as a Samsung, same as certain designer shoes, a Versace. That once you know it's original, once you know it's the right quality, it's a product that will sell itself. So the product is important. So while we create products, while we create services, we need to start building equity even into the product itself, because that would, reflect on the entire brand, as a whole. It will reflect on the entire brand. The person, very quickly, the person who's behind the product matters. You're trying to build a marketable brand. What person, who is the person behind that brand? It's important to people. When people perceive a brand, for them to perceive it as being marketable, it is important that they understand who the person. So if you're knowledgeable, if you're experienced, if you're an expert, if you've worked with other people, if you've solved other similar problems, and and you have awesome solutions, you have results that can speak for you, almost automatically, once people find out who you are, they almost automatically. It's only Lumelu can launch anything, in the corporate, world right now, and then you would buy it. Almost, I can assure you of that. Another brand that is extremely popular, you can launch anything. So while you work on, everything around your brand, isolate these things and work on them. The person, how do people perceive you? Who do they perceive you to be? Say you might be great in area A, and somebody else is getting ahead in so very many other areas, and you perceive that you're doing way more than they are. It's because in certain areas, people perceive them, as an individual who can bring value to the table. And it's simple. Even comedians, you see them gather fans and all of that. It's because certain people in certain niches, or rather certain industries, perceive them to be highly valuable to them, whether they can just cure other people's loneliness, and or boredom. That, as long as that can be done, trust me, they become very valuable to them, and people start to follow them. The person is important. The integrity of the person is also very important. The individual, and that's also the person. But talking about the person, I'm not talking about generally. Every business has a soul. Every business has a soul. Remember that. And the personality, the persona, the brand personality of the brand can be who's behind it. So it might not even be one person, it might be 3, 4, 5. But trust me, an individual amongst the 4 or 5 can mess up the entirety, of the brand. It can. So, one person's mistake can automatically tarnish an entire industry. One person's way, and people will start to cast aspersions and castigate whatever things that they bring or whatever products that they launch and say, oh, you all of you are just useless. I'm sure you've seen that generalization, and I understand that in logic, it's wrong, but these are human beings here who are full of emotions, and they react most of the time, first of all, emotionally before they start to react rationally. So in branding, you need to understand that emotional element and understand how to deal with them. In PR, you need to understand that and then be able to almost predict people's next move and how it could affect your brand and all of that. Partners. Who are the partners? Who are the board of advisors? The influencers behind it. When certain times when influencers rise up, they put their personality, they put their person behind a product or a brand, and then that makes that brand marketable. These are things we need to understand. Sometimes, remember BB Niger, sometimes the followers, once you have those followers, you have some crazy followers who become diehards, and automatically those followers influence the head of people towards, and influence the decisions in your favor. So followers can also become, and sometimes your brand can be judged, based on, the persona, the characters of the majority of your followers. So these are important things that we need to understand in branding and how it can affect, a brand, whether it be a small, medium, or enterprise, or even top corporate organizations need to start understanding some of these things and what they represent. What all those people I've talked about represent matters. I talked about the fact that every business has a soul. So whether it's a personal brand or corporate brand, it has a soul. The soul of that business, the personnel of that business matters, and what it does, who it is, matters to the marketability of that brand. The strategies. So if a brand will be marketable, if you combine the product and then the person, and you bring those two together, if you apply the right strategies, very quickly you will be marketable. I'm still going to talk about quite a lot of things, but I'm hoping that if, in this short summary and the things I'm just going to mention in the next coming seconds, you would understand some of the things you might be doing wrong and some of the insights you may not understand when it comes to understanding your brand as a whole. So the how, where you market is important. Where are you marketing? How are you marketing? If you're saying, "Oh, I'm not marketable. I'm not selling. I'm struggling with my product." How are you marketing? And this affects all of us. Like I said, everybody is at different stages, and it's important that we analyze it and we dissect some of these things and ask ourselves, pivotal questions that can open us up to answers that we did not even we weren't looking at before, and we angles that we didn't look at things from before. So where you market is important. So you could market online. You could go to market. It's important that you understand where your market is. Understanding, your market is important. To who? You're talking about probably the 8th grade. So am I marketing to 15-year-olds? Am I marketing to children? Am I marketing to pregnant women? Am I targeting, people in certain cities or whatever who are teachers? So if it's in people in Lagos who are, civil servants and who are between the ages of 30 to 60, now that can inform how, I create products. So we take that back to the drawing board, and then you're able to you're able to craft and create the best products for the market, and that's important. When to market, time is important. So whether it be physical or online, for example, on Instagram, evenings are the best times to market anything. Does not mean that mornings don't work. It doesn't mean the afternoons don't work, but it just shows that in the evenings from about 6, 7, 8, especially from even 7:30, 8 p.m. To 9 in the night, people are most active, and that's almost all over the world. So these are things we need to understand, and that's why certain people see things in the morning but make buying decisions later in the evening because they want to go back and research and check. Excuse me. They want to go back and research and check and see what's really going on. Market research is important when it comes to strategy. You need to understand that you should research the market. You need to ask questions. You need sometimes put questionnaires out there and get data, real raw data, that you can use and make informed decisions for your business. And that is very important. Very recently, we were writing a book for a client, and one of the first things we did was to research, and after doing that, we put out what's it called, questionnaires, and asked people in different industries, professionals. We asked them questions about how they use social media, how they use the web, how they use different things. Right, and it was across Africa. We ran ads on these things, and we targeted certain people. And the results we got, the data we got, we collated that, and we used it to form certain data. And the book is ready now. When the client saw it, as of yesterday, we just got an approval and said, "Wow, this is amazing! Thank you to your team and all that." If we did not have the right data, the right information, we would not be able to put that together. So market research is important, especially sometimes when you're doing something that other people haven't researched before, or the information isn't readily available on the web. Sometimes you need to go the extra mile to do that. So target audience, understand your target audience. It's important that you understand, and I think I mentioned that a bit. And then understand what tools and platforms that you are meant to use, and that all of that is part of your strategy. All of that is part of. So remember what I said: the PPS marketing secret, the product, the person, the strategy. You want to build a marketable brand. Understand these three very critically, and that would open you up to a world of opportunities. I'm just quickly going to talk about one or two things when it comes to personal branding. I talked about the person, so I'm going to really dwell a little bit on, very quickly dwell on personal branding. A lot of times, most of the problems stem from personal branding, especially when it comes to coaches and entrepreneurs, especially for small, medium-sized businesses, even leaders, in workplaces. Your branding is important. How you represent your firm is important. So branding, this is important. What you represent is important. If you're not an authority in an area and they make you assistant executive for, and people who are, your subordinate or colleagues feel that you don't deserve it, or you've not built yourself up in that area, or they don't feel that you're deserving of it. Trust me, quite a lot of things can happen in that organization. Quite a lot of negative things can start to happen. People will start to say things underneath and say, "No, he got it, but because he was favored by the boss, or he did it." So you, as a leader, it is important that you also are working to build up yourself so that people perceive you and see you as someone who's worthy of positions, who's worthy of certain things, either now or in the future. You need to start now. If you've not started, you need to start now. Personal branding, I'll just define it and talk about two or 3 points there. Personal branding is the conscious and intentional, remember, intentional effort to create and influence public perception of an individual by positioning them as an authority in the industry, elevating their credibility and differentiating themselves from the competition to ultimately advance their career, increase the circle of influence, and have a larger impact. Intentional. See, there's absolutely no way you can build a marketable brand without intentionality. It's impossible. If you're not intentional about it, forget about it. If you're not intentional about it, if you're not going to wake up and work at and research and find information and do things that other people aren't willing to do, then forget about it. You're not going to be able to build a marketable brand, whether it's a personal or corporate brand. I've talked about that. It's absolutely important, if you're going to build a marketable brand, that you're intentional about it. They're intentional about it. The second one I'll talk about is positioning. Positioning is also intentional, but it's it's intentionality with something in mind, with a location in mind, with a target in mind. You're targeting something when you talk about positioning. So if soldiers go to war, right, you see them positioning before they aim. They position themselves in a place where, number one, they're covered and they're able to take aim at the enemy and shoot at their targets. There's absolutely no way you can say you're building a marketable brand without proper positioning. Laser focused positioning. You know exactly where what? Sometimes I can shut down on certain, platforms because I'm intentional about certain things. I know if I get this one, it's easy for me to build this one. So it's important that you understand you're not just building it all at the same time. You're going to exhaust yourself. You're going to get tired. You have quite a lot of things you're doing, and you need to understand that. Sometimes you need to shut down, whether it's social media or the web or whatever it is, so that you can sit back and ask yourself these critical questions and then re-strategize and rebrand and then come back out there. It's important. So positioning is important. Be intentional, and then position yourself. For personal brands, particularly, action is important, belief is important, ability is important, value is important. Because of time, I'm not going to be really delving into this. And I said this very critically. It's in this age, personal branding has become one of the most important aspects of building trusted corporate brands. Even for corporate brands, it's important that you understand the elements of personal branding as you build. As an individual, for example, Mrs. Alakija is a personal brand. Whatever and wherever she steps, a personal brand will speak for even the organization. Then the corporate brand will reflect and on our personal brand. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. I hope somebody's getting what I'm saying. If you're here, let me know. So it's absolutely important that you understand that in this age, these two, there are too many personal brands. I can talk about, Opera, for example. And in my book, I wrote extensively about her. I wrote about Tony Elumelu as well. Their personal brands, and their brands particularly have a way, of opening doors for them all over the world. The world over, the brands open doors for them. It's important that as we build, we're building with that level of intentionality, that we're building with a focus, and we understand exactly where we're going. So yes, hello everyone, we can see. So as an SME, or a small business, if you're here, you are your brand, and that brand is your promise to your customer. You are your brand. So as a small business, it's important that you should or have become your brand. You have become your brand. So and your brand, let me quickly say that your brand tells the audience three things: who you are, number one, what you do, and what differentiates you. Those key things, there are the three key things that your brand tells the world about you. It tells your audience who you are. So whatever it is you're putting out there, which is part of the brand, your colors, your whatever it is, the things you say, the things you do, everything that you're about as a brand tells us who you are. So who are you? Who are you? Who do you think you are? Thank you, Kellan West. What do you do? What do you do? Can you tell us? Is your brand really projecting what you do? And the third one is what differentiates you. You need to keep projecting what sets you apart. What sets you apart? What sets you apart? I'll talk about personal brand, toolkit and social media. There are one or two things for certain people who haven't done this that you need to pay attention to. And this is pretty important as well. Your brand statement. And I'll just explain that, and I want you to write it down. And after this session, go and pay attention and go and work on this. It's that memorable, punchy solution. It's a solution orientation. It's simple. You craft it together. It's one or two sentences here and there that communicates your value, who your audience is, and your USP. Who are you? Oh, I am this, and we do this to this. Simple as ABC. Memorable. It has to be memorable. Make sure it's punchy. People can easily relate to it. When you meet with people the first time, what do you say to them? What do you pitch to them? How do you pitch them? This is what you say to them. Your brand statement. The more you keep saying it, the more it resonates with you, and then you're able to communicate that to everyone. And it's for brand personality. It's important while you're building a marketable brand that you showcase your true, authentic self. Sometimes, it's okay to let us know that you're not happy about certain things on whether it's on social media or whatever it is. It's okay that you project that. Even as a brand, I remember, the times of Sorosoke, NSAS in Nigeria, while we were communicating our grievances to the government before it was shut down. Anyway, let's not go into that. It was important that for brands so even corporate brands to say where they belong. for even corporate brands to stand and say, this is where we stand. This is who we are. And we don't stand for this, or we stand for this. As a brand, you need to stand up for something. Your personality needs to communicate who you are. And I said that already. So what do you stand for? Like, do you stand against rape? Sometimes let us know it. Do you stand against injustice? Sometimes let us know it. So it is important. You stand against bad leadership in Nigeria. Sometimes you need to communicate that. As long as it does not, you're not doing it in such a way that it waters down what your brand really represents, then you fail. Because the focus should be what you really represent. Don't forget that. Your brand logo. I know that some of you already have logos, but there are certain logos that need to be recreated. Sometimes you need to look at your colors all over again. Sometimes you need to look at it and say, wow, I'm not sure this represents what I want to be seen as in the nearest future. So you understand what a logo is, and I just broke it down here. Sometimes, it's word, a business name, and your tagline, icons, pictures, symbols, or images, and they're bringing them together. Colors make sense, and they have their own strategic, their meanings. I'll talk very quickly about strategic positioning and pivoting. Now, strategic positioning for brands who want to be marketable. Like I said, I talked about positioning earlier. I'll talk about positioning and pivoting. In this day and age right now, you need to understand exactly what strategic positioning is. It talks about the way in which a business as a whole distinguishes itself. Have you seen any two banks in Nigeria, for example, that have the same logos, the same colors, the same type of customer service, the same, modus operandi? Even though they're, governed by CBN, they don't run the same way. They all have different strategies. You have a different feel when you go into every bank. Every of them stand out. They are positioned strategically to there are certain banks. If you talk about SMEs in the last 1 or 2 years or 3 years, you know that they're doing quite a whole lot for small businesses. You just know. There was a bank that was called the Bank of the Rich. Now they positioned themselves in such a way and then changed the narrative and targeted almost everybody. And now they are the top of the ladder. It's important that you understand how you position as a brand. It is important that you how you distinguish yourself, and then you communicate your valuable itself in a valuable way. Communicate your value, and to specific customer segments. Who? Don't just target everybody. Who? Strategic positioning tips. I'll just quickly run through that. Number one, use data analysis. I've talked about that, and market segmentation. You can't target everybody. You can't target everyone. You can't target everything. You can't go everywhere. Know who you're targeting. Even if it's one person at a time, one industry. Certain people is just schools, or certain times it's just a few people here and there. Oh, small businesses or corporates or this and that. So target this at certain times. When you understand that market and you have them, then target another set of people and all that. Go where the market is. If you're going to strategically position yourself, if you're going to build a marketable brand that sells, that that you're not struggling to sell, and you know exactly where you're doing. As you're building right now, you need to start focusing on where your market is more and more. That will, COVID was a game changer, and it was a leveler. Quite a lot of things changed completely, and we need to understand that sometimes certain things have shifted, and we need to shift with it. We need to shift with it. Even, for example, this year, I've sold more by not seeing people physically this year than we've been selling online for years, but I've sold more this year almost online. Almost everything was sold this year has been online. A few of them, of course, have been physical, but then mostly it's been online, unless maybe sometimes I drive and go to the offices and have certain meetings. But when we seal the deal, it might be on a call like this that will finish it all up. Understand where the market is and go there. Find the tools that help you go there and make things easier. Create products based on market demands. Let the market demand for the product, not you, forcing the product on the market, or forcing your service on the market. If the market has been asking for it, then find a way to craft it, ask questions, and then be able to create the right kind of products for that market. And this says be open to pivot opportunities. Be open to pivot opportunities. Be open to pivot opportunities. There are going to be opportunities for you to change direction. Sometimes it is important that you are open to pivot opportunities. That you're open to pivot opportunities. And another, it's also pivot for me means you're shifting strategy towards opportunity. Pivot for me means that you're shifting strategy towards opportunity. So you look at your strategy. It does not mean that you're going to change the entire firm. It does not mean that you're going to change all the stuff. It means that you're changing your strategy. I've explained certain things around strategy earlier, right? You're changing your strategy and you're shifting towards the right opportunities. You're shifting towards the right opportunities, and that's what that means. And it's important to be able to master the pivot. So pivot. Make sure you're pivoting in line with the existing business. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to someone. And I said, the person complained about the fact that even now they've not been able to bounce back after COVID, even though COVID is still here, right? And I hope you're protecting yourself. That they've not been able to bounce back since COVID happened. And I said, so what are you doing? And found out that the person was trying to, create a totally different world of opportunity in a totally different field that would now they would have to learn new things, depend on other people for the success of that business and all of that. And I said, why don't you look for opportunities in your line? Don't stop looking and running helter skelter because Mr. A is now doing makeup. You now leave what you're doing and pivot into that. Because I want to build a marketable brand, or I want to sell more. In the bid to do that, you're now running from pillar to post. Why don't you look for opportunities in that existing line, in that existing industry? So there are other things you may be able to do. Remember during COVID. All these guys who used to sing around and at events and at weddings and all that. Some of them did virtual singing festivals. And all the even comedy shows now, some of them are being done virtually. I still remember if in Nigeria, AY Live and all that still did these, virtually, and he made quite a lot of money, like I heard. So it's important that you're pivoting, in line with existing opportunities, and that is absolutely important. I don't expect a mechanic to start making face masks, and that's a joke, by the way. But it's important that you pivot in line with existing opportunities. Let me quickly move that on. This is important, for you if you're trying and you want to ensure that you build a marketable brand. Number one, your content. I talked about a number of these things before, but I put it, I think it was just about 4 or 5 then I talked about. Content is important. Are you creating content? Are you putting it out there? It is absolutely important that you're putting content out there as much as you can. I understand that sometimes Nigeria, if you're living in Nigeria, it can make you numb, when you read the news. But it's important that you're putting your news out there. You're putting your own news out there. You're putting your own content out there. That you're creating things for people to follow. You're putting information out there so that people know that you're here and the things you can do. Community is absolutely important. Understand people who are going on the same path as you and then follow. There are certain things that I dropped certain years ago. And when I wanted to start it back, all I had to do is speak to some of my friends who were in that line. People were buying up stock and quite a number of other things like that. And that helped me to very quickly catch up in that space, and there are quite a number of other things that, of course, that I can talk about on this stream. All right, now, so it's important that you find the community of friends, people who are going in the same path as you. Connect with people and make that happen. Critical thinking is important as part of the C's. If you're going to build, a proper brand, it is important that you engage and employ critical thinking. If you're going to think like everybody else, you're not going to be able to build a marketable brand. You need to be able to, people who are, how do I put it now? People who can make their own personal informed decisions very frequently struggle to build marketable brands. I tell you, if you cannot, sit down and make individual, personal, or individual critical decisions, at certain times, and or you only follow this one because they said so, you follow the crowd because everybody said so. People who have that herd mentality, they struggle to create, marketable brands or global brands. It's almost impossible for you to do that. So you find information, you're able to sift through it and say, this is why I'm saying this. This is why I'm doing this. These things are very important for your brand. Customers are important. Are you putting your customers first? Do you understand that your customer is king and then they can fire you? And you understand when you have difficult customers and sometimes you might have to put them in the place and then let them, stay and without you affecting your brand. And when you fail, when you mess up, how as a brand, to quickly make up and make sure that it ends as a great experience for that customer, and you do your best to do that. So it's important. It's also important if you're going to take your brand globally, you're going to build a marketable brand, that you understand that you build capacity as an individual. You're constantly learning. I was ruminating on something I wanted to write it on social media, but I got busy this evening. I was going to write, if at this stage you still struggle, as an individual to pay for, trainings, or you to pay for your next level, to pay for upgrades, it's a problem. I think it's a critical problem. If you're not becoming the expert. You don't see yourself as becoming the expert. That you're not paying yourself, to that point where you're paying for training, for extra training. If you're still in that category, you're on that table, and I just shattered it. So understand that. The next one I'll talk about is the concept of company. You need to carry yourself as a brand. You're a brand. Carry yourself as that. See yourself as that. I've seen, some corporate brands or personal brands go on social media and mess up and say all manner of terrible, dirty things with their brand names, with their social media handles, and they do all of that. People go on Twitter and write rubbish content. If you understand the concept of company, as a firm, a credible organization, a credible firm, a credible company, a credible company would not carry themselves as that. Imagine an Apple. Would they carry themselves on social media? And, what would they say? What would they do? Carry yourself like that, no matter how small you're, even if you are -1, even you are still not complete. And, even if you still feel inadequate. And that's what I mean. Even at that, make sure you're carrying yourself like that. People would relate with you based on how you carry yourself. How you show up will determine how people will relate with you. And please be mindful of that. The climate, what's going on in the climate? What are the things and there's a global climate, there's a local climate. So if I look at Africa now, what are the things, if I'm going to build a brand, that will be acceptable in Africa, what are the things I need to do? How do I position myself? I'm going to build a global brand. How do I position myself? What are the things I say? Or what things do I say? How am I perceived? Who do I, what kind of content do I write? If I keep, and I told a guy, I remember years ago, I spoke to a guy who was building a brand, a blog that was about broken news platform, even before BBC, what's it called, the broken one that they have, before it was launched. Now, this was several years ago, probably 2016, 17, 15, even probably as far back as that. And I was speaking to the guy, and I told him, I said, find a way to, people right now have not embraced spoken English in terms of reading it. Now they have, and because the brand that launched it is BBC, that's why they embraced it. And I said, what you should do, write it in broken, right? But make sure you have a translation somewhere under the same page. So people want to read, if you're struggling, you just go down. So what you're doing is you're passing information and you're educating at the same time. You're passing information, and me that maybe I can't speak broken very well. Once I encounter a word I'm struggling with in broken, I'll go to the English version. I know that it could be a struggle and all of that, but if you can do that over a period of time, you're going to be able to build that. Understand the climate. Understand the climate. It's absolutely important that you understand the climate, that you're dealing in. Competitors, understand your competitors. understand your collaborators, and then be consistent. That's the of them all. Be consistent. If you're going to build a marketable brand, you need to be extremely consistent. You need to show up. When you show up, be consistent in showing up. I hope I still have a few more time. I was going to go into something I learned from a book, and then go into a number of other things. But time would not permit us. And I'm hopeful, that with this few words of mine, you've learned very quickly, in this short few minutes, how to build a marketable brand. I could go on and on. There are quite a number of other things that I've prepared, but because of our time, and I know that I knew we wouldn't definitely be finished. We'll finish this today. I have a few of them, from my book. I just felt they were very important. So it is important while you build a marketable brand that you understand some of these things. You have to show up and be consistent. You have to understand the concept of company. You have to understand collaborators. Who are the people you can come together and go on this journey with. You have to understand that you need to put out content on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, on a hourly basis, whatever way you want to put out content. It is important. So those are some of the things. I hope maybe if we have any questions whatsoever, maybe I can use the next few minutes to deal with that, and I will be able to I will be able to quickly answer that. Like I said, there are quite a number of things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk, for example, about the online reputation and brand hero toolkit. The online reputation is one of the reasons why certain brands suffer, especially when they run into problems. Why they run into problems. But like I said, we won't be able to run into that. Maybe one of these other days we'll talk about a few other things as we go along. Thank you so very much for your time, and I hope that you've learned a whole lot from this short session. Thank you very much, and I'll be awaiting your questions. Kemi, over to you. I can't hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I said you were dropping it like it's hot, pop, 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 pop. It was a whole lot of learning. It was a full master class that you brought to us today. A lot of learning, and I bet that everyone who is on this call is learning so much. And like I always say, insights without action is always going to be useless. So for whatever insights, information, tools, strategies that you have picked today based on the wealth of knowledge that our wonderful facilitator, Ayo Alex Alao, the brand boss, has shared with us tonight. It will
Hello? I think we lost Kemi for a second there. We just wait for her to continue. While we wait for her, because I can't hear her, or am I the one that's off? Okay, yeah, I think it's our internet. If you have any questions, like I said, please do just send that here, or you can connect with me again on Ayo Alex Alao on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and hopefully we can become friends. And I hope that you're going to, as I said earlier, fantastic. I think she's back. Yes.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. The internet just threw me off, but then we're back. So thank you very, very much for that. So a lot of great, learning. So you spoke about the PPS, you spoke about the KLT, and I think it's very important that people are able to interact with this information that you have shared, these strategies and these tools are really important. So there's something I would like to ask. And
Mm.
please, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop your questions so that our facilitator can address them. So when you started the session, you said something about localization. Can you share a bit more of light around that?
The organization.
Localization.
Okay,
Glocalization.
globalization. Oh, yes. Oh, we didn't get there. Yes. So the concept of globalization is, it comes stems from global and local. So it's you being able to create product or services locally but market it globally, and it's an important element, especially in this day and age, and in embracing technology, that you understand that whatever it is you do now transcends the four walls of of your university or your house or your marketing or your country or your continent. Your competition, for example, like I've said that before several years ago, that your competition is somewhere in China, your competition is somewhere in Japan. And I said that some 5 years ago or 4 years ago when I was doing some, trainings for small businesses and setting up organizations. And I said that, not knowing that COVID was coming. So it's important that we understand globalization, and that you understand that your service can be distributed, that can be created locally, an idea can be conceived locally and distributed globally. It's important that you understand that, and I think who said that? I'm trying to remember. We talked about recognizability. That when you have ideas and concepts, and I think it was Kule Shorinyo that talked about one or two things around that as well. That your idea is universal, as well. So it's important that you're able to take your ideas and then implement them in such a way that other people from the parts of the world, and I say this to you very critically, whatever it is you sell now, if you're selling outside of Africa or outside of Nigeria, if you're in Nigeria, you need to have dollar rates. It has to come with dollar. It is absolutely important. I was checking, in the course of this month, I was checking our data for what we sold on PayPal. The biggest market was on Israel, from Israel and the US. Not even Nigeria, because they don't. Sorry, I'm not saying Nigerians don't buy on PayPal. I'm just saying that most of the people who would buy are those guys who are out there. And once you can convince them that you have the right product, you're almost guaranteed, that you would sell. You need to understand that it's also premised, globalization is also premised on a word called borderlessness. It's premised on it's sitting on borderlessness. And now in this day and age, 5G is coming maybe to Africa by God's grace. It's coming and we need it. We really need it. We would not be talking about data issues and data problems and all of that if we had 5G. So you need to understand that this is a life without borders. It's a virtual world. People recruit online. People now get more. There are more jobs online now. The new world is virtual. So if you're not positioning yourself, if you're not positioning yourself right now, there's a problem. And I needed to understand that you need to be able to go global and local almost simultaneously. You need to focus on your local market and the global market almost right now at the same time. You're focused on getting people from Ghana to follow you if it's on social media, as much as you're marketing your services or product to someone in China, or marketing what you do to someone in the US, because you really never know where the next market comes from. So understanding that is absolutely, important to all, that you do. Understanding that it's absolutely important that you do. So it's also, don't forget to service your locality, and remember that you're building a brand and a business, that is marketable internationally, and it has the right standards. So as you are growing, you're trying to pass that test of universality. As you're growing that brand as a personal brand or a corporate brand, you're making sure you're ensuring that your processes, that your practices, that your procedures, that your products are being refined gradually, that to pass that test of universality. And once you're able to do that, you now position it, and place it right in front of the people, that in front of millions globally, using, cutting edge, probably online strategies and tools, innovative solutions that you can bring to the table, new things that you can do. I was talking to a friend of mine that I trained, and I didn't want to say this, that I training, for example, in cryptocurrency, some 4 years ago, probably 2017. And I was talking to him, and I said, you know what, everything I taught you, apart from just the basics, it's obsolete now. Everything's changed completely. The tools have changed. There are now so very many tools that help people do this and do that. And he said, wow, when are you going to have time? I said, I'm not very sure because I'm going to be busy this weekend and all of that. But what am I saying? Things have changed. A young lady launched a product a couple of weeks ago, and she raised $1 million US, because of the power of universality. I'm not very good and great. I'm not great with blockchain technology, but the people who understand it should go into it. So if you're going to study a new course, it's important. If you're young, go into that space, venture into that space, learn things in that space, because that is the future. Contracts are already on Ethereum, the Ethereum blockchain, and it's legal contracts, between organizations, between governments. It's going to be, online. It's simply online. It's as simple as that. So understand that you need to be able to, in this day and age, embrace e-commerce. I posted something recently. I was going to post another one. That was there's this device that it will. It's just funny where the world is going right now. It looks like a blimp in the UK. They call it a blimp, and then it opened up, and then quite a what's it called, flew out, and then they were distributing people's parcels to them and all of that. It's amazing where the world is going, even in your own local environment. I remember 2 days ago, an organization, a logistic firm got in touch with me, and they said, we have a way of helping you deliver your products. I know that we know that you have a lot of SMEs, that we have a way of being able to deliver for them their products for as low as 700 naira across, Ibadan, Lagos, whatever it's an intercity, as low as 700 naira. And I said, wow, that is absolutely amazing. You guys are really thinking about small businesses. So understand e-commerce, embrace e-commerce. Whatever it is you sell, find out that most of these guys also can help you send your products anywhere. You saw that during COVID. Quite a lot of people started selling, makeup and cream and whatever it is from Africa, from Nigeria, across the world. It is important that you understand that there are now opportunities and platforms for local and global deliveries. So globalization it's here, right now. It's absolutely here right now. It also means, or it's also important that you're able to find, the right product, the right people, the right pricing, the right platforms, the right payment. For you to be able to fully embrace globalization, write this down. You need to be able to find the right products. You need to be able to find the right people. You need to be able to find the right pricing, the right prices. So pricing is important. You're not just pricing in such a way that someone from the US sees it and they say, what is this? This doesn't make sense to us. So if you're going to do that, you need to understand the right platforms and the right payment. Payment is important. I remember us building a platform and it died. That idea died. Then I was looking across Africa and I posted it on Facebook. Then we're going to build a platform where people can exchange services. None of these existed then, so 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we're going to build where you could sell small jobs and all of that, to people, whether you wanted to design graphics or whatever it is, micro jobs, for people across Africa. There was no payment solution there for Africa. Right now, there are. There's Paystack, there's Flutterwave, there's quite a lot of other these guys now. Paystack has partnered with Flutterwave. There's so many solutions and payment solutions that now exist. So we need to understand that and then be able to use that to our advantage. This is 2021. We need to be able to master the art, or the art of dominating geographies, and global. We need to start infiltrating global businesses and seeing how do I sell to Nigerians in Canada? How do I sell to Nigerians in the UK or in London, in East London? Or what products would they want? How do I own that space? How do I, while I'm running my ads, how do I target them? Those are things we need to start engaging, and then gradually we're building, products. That's what they did in Berlin. Remember the Berlin conference, then in 1884 rather, 1885, and certain guys sat down and shared Africa. They shared us, man. They shared our destiny. These guys shared our destiny. Sorry, but they shared all the wealth, that came from this part of the world. So this is the time where, we're not sharing anywhere. The world is ours for the taking, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it is important that you're able to, target markets wherever it is, whoever they are, as long as you're look at African music. Look most especially, case in point, Nigerian music. You look at people like Wizkid, who's done adverts for what's it called? What's this company again? The UBA that he did adverts for. I'm trying to remember. If you're on the stream, you can remind me. These guys now have global. They have a global appeal, and they've been able to build music. Those days we used to, growing up, the only types of music we ever listened to were foreign music. Was foreign music. We knew all the foreign music that existed while we were in the university, while we were in secondary school, and all of that. Now, Nigerian music has taken over. Whatever it is, it's great. Look at the Grammys that happened very recently. We were center stage. We were able to do something, and make our mark. That is what we're doing business-wise. Whatever it is, gradually the world is coming to find out that there's quite a whole lot in Africa. The only thing that's left is for Africa to rise up by itself. If our leaders can rise and we can create enabling environments, and I'm using this to say that, we can create enabling environments, and ensure that there's the ease of doing business, in Nigeria and Africa especially is great. Quite a lot of people would come home and establish businesses. People would get loans easily, with of course, with probably collateral and all of that, So it's important, and then they can invest and, launch into the world, capture these places and then bring back the proceeds and develop Africa. We need to understand that, and we need to be able to, do something about it. It is absolutely important. And I'll end with this. Because I've had a long day. I'll end with this, and I said this some time ago. I said that the global market, and listen to this very carefully, the global market is about to become your local playground. That is what is happening right now. The global market is about to become our local playground. And that's, for me, is the concept of globalization, where, you start from being local, and then you go global, then infiltrate certain industries, certain countries, and you have quite a lot of businesses being done there, partnerships and whatever it is that you can do. And then while you're playing on the global stage, it feels like you're on the local stage. It feels like you're just home. That is the future. In the next 10 years, if quite a lot of us, can achieve that, I believe that'll be, that'll be job done. There are quite a lot of things will change, even for Nigeria. Quite a lot of things will change for, our brands, and then we can say for real that we've built global brands, that we've built marketable brands that people can see from anywhere, whether it's Kenya or South Africa or Nigeria or Dubai or India or China or Japan or whatever it is, in Europe or in Germany or Norway or Poland or whatever it is, that we can say that people can, in truth, They have one or two things that they can buy from us, and that, for me, look at Chino Achebe. They talk about his product, and look at people who are following in that direction. Some of the things they're able to do. Whatever it is we're creating right now, we need to start looking at, the global stage as it's becoming our local playground. And that's where I'll stop. I hope that we've learned enough to be able to build, global, by God's grace, marketable brands as we progress with building. And I would say, like I always say, let us keep building. Let's keep building.
All right. Great chat. Let us keep building. And I think on that note, we would end the Hangout tonight. Insights without actions will always be useless. So let's make sure that we take all these amazing lessons, strategies, and tools and start implementing them today. So it will come your way again. If you have not signed up in our wonderful community, the Speakers HQ community, please go through the link right below this video, www.speakershq.com, to join our powerful speakers community. And also note that the Speakers HQ community is not just for speakers. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business leader, a forward-thinking professional, would love to have you in the community. So till we come away again, do have a wonderful, do enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next month. All right. Bye.